En dan zou ik zeggen, take it away, Studio BGS. En ik zie jullie zo meteen.
So hi guys, how are you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Cool, I'm doing good as well. So could you, thanks for joining our interview and freeing up some time for us, because we got some questions from the Benelux. To start off, could you please maybe tell something about what you're doing and what you're working on at the studio?
Sure. Well, anyways, my name's Jeff Gardner. I'm the project lead, and I'm joined with Mark Tucker, our design director on Fallout 76. We want to thank you for having us. We're excited to be here. We've been working on 76 constantly, obviously, for years, and the new stuff we're working on now. Mark can get into it a little, but we're trying to shore up our next patch, which has hopefully Wendigo Colossus and our a teaser quest for the community to introduce Brotherhood of Steel. And then beyond that, we're still working on the Brotherhood of Steel beat coming later this year, which includes One Wasteland, daily ops, all sorts of stuff we can dig into on. But those are the primary focus. We're even actually starting to plan out 2021 because we have to make long-term plans. So those will be exciting things that we probably won't talk about today. But we are actually looking into the future, into 2021 as well.
Cool, sounds good. And actually, to start off, like the first question, how is it for you guys to work from home?
I mean, you know, it's definitely presented some unique hurdles for us. You know, I'd be lying if I didn't say it hasn't impacted our schedule this year. You know, I will say, you know, kudos to the team for just, you know, hitting it. We have been able to get a lot of things done, but you know, there's definitely been some challenges. You know, communication is one of those challenges, and just overall bandwidth. You know, there's a lot of things going on outside of work at our homes that just take away time from our ability to focus on work, you know, and so it's
also
tough.
Sometimes literal bandwidth as well. It's we have to push down these huge 40-60 gig builds all the time, and not everybody has the home connections that can handle it, so we've had issues there. Overall, the team has done fantastic with it. We did launch Wastelanders about 4 weeks into work from home, and now also 2 more patches, and we've had to push stuff out a little, often because we put it up on public test servers and we find we need more work, like legendary perks. But that's our new, you know, modus operandi, as they say. We're working towards making sure the stuff is really solid before it hits our live servers. And yeah, it's been an interesting time. It looks like it's not going to end anytime soon here in the States either.
Nope, here as well.
Yeah.
So cool. All right, so if you're ready for it, you have like the first real question from the community, and the first one is an interesting one about the location actually for the game. So they were wondering, how did you come up with West Virginia as a location for Fallout 76?
That was a long time ago. We were still working on Fallout. Towards the end of Fallout, we overlap our games a little bit. And so towards the end of Fallout 4, we started talking about what would a multiplayer Fallout game look like. And we had you know, our artisan designers at the time looked into things, and they were really big on West Virginia for a number of reasons. One, it had a big expansive landscape that had a lot of beautiful, different, varied folia and fauna. 2, it's a setting, it's a place, it's a part of American history and lore that isn't well represented in games at all. So we're really excited to do justice by it there. And 3, honestly, the cryptids, all the local legends really sort of sealed the deal there. Mothman, I think we're going to talk about later. All the Sheep Squatch, all these things are actual real lore and arcana that come out of West Virginia. And they're just fascinating to like put in the video game, and the response from that state has been fantastic. My wife and I went there the other day, and I was actually afraid to wear Fallout gear because I figured I know there's stories about people being stopped and thanked in the streets. A lot of our devs have visited, and what a great place, honestly. It's a great state.
Yeah, I mean, as a developer, it's you know, as Jeff was mentioning, just the cryptids, and there's so much. Like, you know, there's a teapot, there's a pumpkin house, there's all these really cool locations that you just don't get anywhere, you know, and on top of that, like the cryptids, like when we first started talking about a sheep squatch, you know, people looked at me like, did you make this up? I'm like, no, this is actual, like, go Google it. It's awesome. And so, like, you know, it's been a lot of fun to work in that location, because there are things that are truly unique to West Virginia that you just don't get anywhere else. So
yeah, I completely agree. Actually, my favorite location is Helvetia, and I wasn't actually aware that it was like a real location until I saw some photos in like the Facebook like the Facebook communities. People were like posting pictures from themselves in like vault suits at Helvetia with like the German text and everything. So that's really awesome. Yeah, it's cool.
They celebrate
awesome.
Fastnacht there, and so like our in-game event of Fastnacht is actually reflecting on the fact that this is something that they do every year in Helvetia. Like it's we didn't make that up.
Yeah, they're making the mass that we put in the game and having this celebration there with those masses. It's fantastic. It's really cool.
Really cool. So next question is about mods. Could you share? Do you have anything to say or any updates about the possibility of mod support?
Sure. We are definitely still working on mod support. It's coming. It's what we term in our logo. Sometimes I just bandy about and people don't really know. We call it a heavy lift. The guy who works on it's a big weightlifter, and it is a heavy lift, meaning we've had to put a lot of resources into that, and there's a lot of it's not just drag and drop from the previous games because of the way our client server architecture works, but it is coming. We're working on it, and that just stay tuned.
Awesome. Good to know. The next one is about the displaying possibilities in camps, because our community really loves it, and also like the current possibilities of displaying, like I've seen like lots of things like Fastnacht masks, teddy bears, etc. And they were really wondering, like, are we getting like more ways of displaying, like for example outfits in camps and things like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. We are working on multiple options actually. So we're looking at getting mannequins, so people can put their outfits on mannequins in their camp and show them off. And then further out, we're exploring the idea of allowing players to display their power armor in their camps. So very excited about this. I know as a player I want this. I have a lot of cool outfits and power armor paint jobs that I'd like to show off in my camp. So yeah, like definitely keen on getting these features out there.
Yeah, we're also working on Fallout shelters, which hopefully will come this fall. Those are going to be basically, in a nutshell, doors that go into instances in your camp that allow you to build more. We actually were playtesting at Mark and I the other day, and we were sort of blown away. So we're doing a lot of fun things there. We're even experimenting with reducing some of the restrictions to the build rules, not just the budget, but the actual rules themselves. So players don't have to work on a grid so much; they can place things where they want. Some of the staff have created some amazing examples there, so we're really excited for allowing people to sort of create their own environments and interiors. Because once you go into an interior, you have a lot more we have a lot more we can do, because you're not affecting other players' games as much. So you can go nuts in there. We don't have to worry about edge case AI and frame rate as much concerns. So that's the plan. They've been working hard on it in Dallas, actually. So yeah.
Awesome. Sounds really good. Especially like the power armor display. I would love to display my power armor in the camp. So that's some exciting news. Really cool. And the next one is, can we expect like more character slots sometime in the future? Because people really love building like those different camps, and some people have like maxed out their character slots. So can we expect more of them?
Well, I think that's kind of more of we're thinking about it kind of maybe. No definitive plans there, but when you're thinking about extra camp space, camp slots, as Jeff was just talking about with shelters, that's going to really open up a tremendous amount of opportunity for additional building options. But on top of that, we've got a couple other features that I think will present more flexibility for our players, that where they may not feel the need to have character slots. So when we look at what we're doing with legendary perks, for example, we're putting in a lot of we've listened to the player feedback off of PTS. We're putting in a lot more utility legendary perks that give players more flexibility in their perk builds. Master Infiltrator, for example, allows players to just completely auto hack or auto unlock locks, and they don't have to sit there and mess with changing out their perks. We're also adding legendary special perks that increase the perk points you have in your build. So, you know, if you want to be a you know, mostly strength build, you can put your standard points in strength, but like if you want to fall back on rifles, you could take legendary perception, rank that up, and that gives you 5 more points in perception that you didn't have to allocate with your perk points. So there's tremendous build flexibility there with that system. And then further out, you know, we're still looking at perk loadouts, which I think is going to also give players a lot of great flexibility with different builds. So, you know, I don't know that with all these extra features coming in, you know, we kind of need to wait and see what the community wants after that before we commit to something like that.
Yeah, perk loadouts especially, we think are going to alleviate a lot of those concerns. We had a really good discussion on yesterday. That's a ways out. I got to warn everybody, but we're still working on it.
Yeah, that's a heavily requested one by the community as well. I see it like
yeah.
every day.
As
So
players, us too. Yes.
Oh yeah.
We had an
absolutely.
engineer the other day saying, I think I'm going to walk out if we don't get this feature in the game." So yeah, we all agree.
Yeah. So this is an interesting one. How often do you guys play the game actually with colleagues from the studio? Do you play, for example, during the lunch breaks? And I know the situation is kind of a bit weird, but were you playing when you were back at the office, playing like the game in the lunch breaks, etc.?
Yes. So I mean, so it's kind of a combination of answers. So as Jeff was mentioning, we play test our game constantly. So we're playing together, just testing out new features, new content all the time. Like not just during lunch, but during actual work hours, right? Because that's a big part of our job is to look at and play and give feedback and iterate on everything that we're building. In addition to that, yeah, I mean, we're playing in off hours. I am a lunchtime player. Oddly enough, though, I tend to not play with coworkers. I like to drop in and just play with other players. And you know, I don't tell them who I am. I just hop in, start playing. I listen to their chatter. It's great. Actually, with our recent public teams feature, it's been much easier to do that. Just hop into public teams and go play with these folks, and just kind of it's good to get a sense of what our players are talking about, what's frustrating them, what they like. And it's also nice, you know, I spend a lot of my waking hours with the people at work, so it's nice to get a break and go play with some of our players. Yeah.
We have mandatory play tests once a week too, where everyone on the all our teams across all 4 locations will play. That's been harder again with COVID and all the bandwidth issues we've been having, but that we want to be a culture in the studio that plays our games. Great games are played, not made, is something that Todd Howard said years ago, and that's 100% true. The other thing is, if people play on PTS on PC on our public test servers, oftentimes there's other devs in there, because that's where we are also testing the content. We're checking it out and hearing what people say. So yeah, we definitely actively encourage people who want to know what's coming and help us give us feedback to play in our PTS server on PC. That has sort of changed the nature of the game for good.
Cool. And about that content that ties in nicely. So which side do you like more, like the raiders or the settlers? Which side are you?
I'm Team Raider 100%.
I'm also Team Raider 100%. Yeah, it's for me. It's a couple things. One, just the characters. Like, where else are you gonna find, like, you know, a super mutant, a smartass little girl, someone that talks with a voice collar made for a dog. I mean, it's just an amazing array of characters. But also, I tend to be more of a shoot first, ask questions later type of player in the game, of course. Just in the so yeah, that kind of fits me.
Yeah, we did a poll. The vast majority of people chose settlers. I understand. Like, it's hard for me to play the bad guy in games, honestly. Like, it's all these role-playing games, I'm always so tempted to be the bad guy, and I always end up starting that way and then changing my mind, or never really able to commit to it. But the design team did a really good job of keeping the both factions sort of gray in terms of not so polarized. So it's not as polarizing of a decision as one would think. And again, like Mark said, there's just so much flavor in these characters. So more to come in Brotherhood of Steel too. More to come.
It's really good to hear. I really love the quest with the teddy bear. I believe it was a teddy bear, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
yes.
It was really awesome. No spoilers. So what can you tell us on the topic of Brotherhood of Steel and everything? What can you tell us about the future of Fallout 76 or the near future?
Want to talk about Brotherhood a little, Mark?
Yeah, so obviously our next big content drop is going to be centered around the return of the Brotherhood of Steel to Appalachia. What's cool about that is the fact that this is a group that's coming from the West Coast. So these are what you would kind of call the original Brotherhood folks, and they've traveled across America to return and find out what happened, but they also have their own mission agenda, right? And so you're going to learn about some of the things that happened in their trek across the states. You're gonna find out why they're here, and you're gonna get to know these characters pretty well. I'm keeping it vague intentionally because there's a lot of really cool story elements that I don't want to give away. I really want players to hop in and experience it for themselves. But yeah, I'm excited. It's a very character-centric beat. We have a lot of really interesting characters and some drama there that's going to play out over the course of several different beats. So.
Plus, it's going to be, it's going to have all the stuff you've come to know, not just quests. So armor, weapons, a couple of, we're calling them light allies, more people for camps. So all this stuff that folks loved about Wasteland is also going to be included in this. And we are spreading this out over several batches as well. So stuff will come as it's ready, and it's going to be exciting. The team
awesome.
has done a great job on it.
Really,
yeah.
Really excited. So we've talked about Appalachia a bit as well, and it's obviously an amazing setting for the game and for the Fallout universe. But do you have any plans for the game to extend like the area somewhere in the future?
Listen, that's always a topic of conversation. A lot of our DLCs in our past games, which I've been lucky enough to work on, do that. They put you in different maps, like the Pit did, and in Far Harbor, and all for all our previous Fallout games. That said, we built Fallout 76. It's so big. We got a lot of space to play with in there. We are experimenting with allowing players to do one-off missions off-site. That is definitely in the cards right now. There's technical hurdles there, and that, like everything else, we have to decide what's more important. But that is definitely something I know Mark and his team is sort of champing at the bit to do. So we do want to do that. It's just a matter of there's technical and artists, like there's a lot. There's, again, talking about lifts, it's a big lift, but if we decide to do it, Mark and his team actually have a really good plan on how they want to do it. So hopefully that will start coming with Brotherhood of Steel next year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I would love to tell you. The locations you're talking about are fantastic. Honestly. Really exciting. Remember, we can go anywhere. There's a whole world.
Yeah.
Oh boy, you make me really excited.
Yeah, it could be some fun fan service there, but also some spots that maybe we've never been to. So hope there. But when you're thinking about extra camp space, camp slots, as Jeff was just talking about with shelters, that's going to really open up a levels, right? So this will help agenda, right? That maybe we've never been to. In characters pretty well. I'm keeping it vague intentionally because there's a lot of really cool story elements that I don't want to give away. I really want players to hop in and experience it for themselves. But yeah, I'm excited. It's a very character-centric beat. We have a lot of really interesting characters and some drama there that's going to play out over the course of several different beats. So.
Plus, it's going to be, it's going to have all the stuff you've come to know, not just quests. So armor, weapons, a couple of, we're calling them light allies, more people for camps. So all this stuff that folks loved about Wasteland is also going to be included in this. And we are spreading this out over several batches as well. So stuff will come as it's ready, and it's going to be exciting. The team
awesome.
has done a great job on it.
Really excited. So we've talked about Appalachia a bit as well, and it's obviously an amazing setting for the game and for the Fallout universe. But do you have any plans for the game to extend like the area somewhere in the future?
Listen, that's always a topic of conversation. A lot of our DLCs in our past games, which I've been lucky enough to work on, do that. They put you in different maps, like the Pit did, and in Far Harbor, and all for all our previous Fallout games. That said, we built Fallout 76. It's so big. We got a lot of space to play with in there. We are experimenting with allowing players to do one-off missions off-site. That is definitely in the cards right now. There's technical hurdles there, and that, like everything else, we have to decide what's more important. But that is definitely something I know Mark and his team is sort of champing at the bit to do. So we do want to do that. It's just a matter of there's technical and artists, there's a lot. There's, again, talking about lifts, it's a big lift, but if we decide to do it, Mark and his team actually have a really good plan on how they want to do it. So hopefully that will start coming with Brotherhood of Steel next year.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I would love to tell you. The locations you're talking about are fantastic. Honestly. Really exciting. Remember, we can go anywhere. There's a whole world.
Yeah.
Oh boy, you make me really excited.
Yeah, it could be fun fan service there, but also some spots that maybe we've never been to. So hopefully it can work out that we can get these out next year.
Cool. So we need to stay tuned.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. And next question: are you considering making the game a free-to-play title?
Right now, no. The game is doing very well. We are on Xbox Game Pass right now, PC and Xbox Game Pass. So players who want to just try the game and are subscribed to that service should try it with that. We do free-to-play weeks here and there, again, for people to try the service out. So right now, no, we don't have any actual plans to make the game free-to-play.
Okay, good to know. And they also had a question about One Wasteland and what will it mean for boss encounters? Will the game still feel challenging in those encounters?
Absolutely, yeah. So the One Wasteland feature that we're building, we have a lot of tuning knobs and things that we can do to make sure that things are, don't always just immediately go to your level, right? So as an example, we're entertaining the idea of maybe the Scorchbeast Queen doesn't level down. Maybe the Scorchbeast Queen is always going to be, this crazy high level. Or maybe we allow the Scorchbeast Queen to come down to a certain level, but not below that, right? So we have a lot of ability and control over, how close we get it to your level or not. We still plan to make the different regions have different sort of challenge ratings, if you will. So, if you're a low-level player and you go into the Cranberry Bog, things aren't necessarily going to come right down to your level. They're gonna come down to a certain level and clamp, right? So it will still be challenging, right? We're very keen on that. We don't want everything to just always be right at your level. So we've made sure to have a lot of controls and ways to, if we choose to, set certain creatures to not auto level.
The two things One Wasteland is setting out to solve are the sort of random difficulty spikes that players experience right now, because the game is leveled to the person who sort of went to that zone first. I'm talking very vaguely here about sort of intricate systems. So sometimes you'll go into a zone and there'll be no problem for like a level 20 player, and sometimes you go in that zone and you're getting your butt kicked. And that's the thing we really want to solve. We want a more predictable experience, one, and two, we do want players of disparate levels to play together. And this is what this is doing. It is not going to all of a sudden make everything like milk toast, or that is, trust me, no one on the team wants that at all. Fallout is about making hard choices and decisions and consequences in combat as well. So that is not, so what again, the two things that are going to solve are hopefully those two things. So one, you can play with newer players more easily, or old, or husband and wife, one can play a lot more than the other. They can still play together. And two, we want to kill those randomized difficulty spikes they're just frustrating, honestly. We all play the game a lot, and it's never fun when you wander into top of the world and there's a level 60 blood bug that's sucking your face. Like, it's just, this is not a fun experience. And so that's what we're trying to solve.
But I think it's a great tool as well to bring in like your new friends that have never played the game before, and just bring them along to the adventure and don't have to like think, where are we going, right? So absolutely,
yeah. And even with I saw a post on Reddit the other day. People that are playing in public teams right now. One of the frustrations is these public teams can have wide variety of levels, right? So this will help promote public teams even more. You'll be able to play with anybody, and it won't matter. And yeah, if you want to go to Toxic Valley and you've got a level 5 on your team and you've got a level 150 on your team, you can do that. So I think it's going to make our game a lot easier to play with your friends and just like I said, public teams.
Cool. And next question is about the camp building budget. Are there any plans on increasing the budget for camp building?
We're hoping that shelters alleviates a lot of that concern. Honestly, that's our first goal. We are still always looking at ways to make camp building not only that you can do more, but it's easier to do it and more efficient for the game itself. There's a pretty substantive team working on these problems right now, but it will be quickly fixed once shelters comes out, because then at least you'll be able to go inside, and the budgets there are pretty high, number one. Number two, it's just additive to what you have outside.
Okay. And this one is actually a highly requested one by the lore-minded players. So they're asking, when will we learn the fate of Vault 96, or have the option to maybe explore it sometime?
Right. So I will let me explain what we're doing with Vault 94, and then we can kind of connect the dots from there. So we have our new daily ops feature that we're working on. We're going to bring back Vault 94 as part of a daily op location. So you'll get to go in and play through this mission in Vault 94. It's a very different experience than the previous incarnation, but it's really fun, and you get to experience the vault and just the beauty of it. On top of that, we're unlocking the vault location in the world, so now you can go into it and explore, discover more of the lore, and really kind of take your time with it and see, and learn more about it. So we're going to do that as part of the initial release package for Daily Ops. In the future, we would like to do the same thing for 96. So we are looking to make sure that we can put it back in. We have opportunities for players to explore it and learn more about the lore. But right now, that'll have to come at a later date. So still on the list.
Cool, but good to know that it is on the list.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, this is a fun one. So what's the most weird / exciting or creative thing that you have seen players create in Fallout 76? Does anything comes to mind like immediately?
Oh yeah, it's a pretty good list. So launching Brahmin is definitely one that comes to mind. Yeah, so we had a player that figured out how to launch Brahmin in their camp. So that was pretty spectacular. I
don't know how you're going to top that one.
You got murder churches, you got scavenger hunts. Actually, just the other day, I was looking on Reddit and I saw this amazing camp. Somebody had built a pirate ship on top of one of the peaks in Savage Divide, and I mean, it looked like a pirate ship. It was amazing. So, it's like literally every week, something, and it's usually there's a post in one of our internal channels where somebody's sharing something like, look at what these players did. And I mean, it's pretty remarkable. We have a great community, extremely creative community, and they are constantly surprising me with what they do with our game. So yeah, it's fun.
Definitely, and I tend to like really the sadistic ones, because I really love the and it sounds really cruel, but I really love the one with the Deathclaw trap.
Oh yeah.
So there's this one person that created like a house with and when you close the door, you're trapped with a Deathclaw, and it was like really funny.
When I was watching those videos, I was disrupting the people around me in the office because I was laughing so hard. It was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh yeah, same for me. Same for me. So this is actually the last question already, but like a really it's a weird one. So if you could be the Mothman for like one day in the game, what would you do?
In the game, see, I was thinking like, what would I do in the real world?
That's also good.
Oh yeah, that would be really good.
Well, I think if I could be the Mothman for the day in the real world, I think it would be fun to go to a convention, like maybe like a PAX or a Comic-Con or something where there's a lot of cosplay, and I could be basically a cosplayer, but actually I'm the Mothman, and just every time somebody's trying to take a picture of me, you just poof out, really mess with them. So yeah, you were speaking of being sadistic. That's a little sadistic, but I think it'd be a lot of fun to just kind of, you know what? I'm gonna pretend I'm a cosplayer and I'm actually the Mothman.
Nice one. I approve. I approve that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I
will leave you on an anecdote. We originally, when we were writing Fallout 76, we had the plan on making it so the Overseer. This is before Wastelanders was a thing. We had a plan to have to allow a dev to go into the game and play as the Overseer and not let the players know that it wasn't AI. So we had all these things written about how we were going to let devs go into servers and so you could find the Overseer, but she was one of the game developers, which would have been exciting. And then we put her in obviously in Wastelander, so you can find her. But yeah, that just was thinking about that as when Mark was talking about when you were talking about playing Muffin. We actually were going to do something along those lines, but with Overseer in the game. But so if you see the Overseer, no, it's not me or Mark. it is
yeah, obviously.
But that was originally the plan. We went pretty far down that road until we realized that was probably not sustainable, considering we only have we have a small number of players on the server, so there's a lot of servers. So it would be very, very rare to see the. It would have been like a myth. Did you see the Overseer? Maybe. Were you drunk? But yeah, that was a great interview, though.
Cool. Yeah, that was actually the last question, and we've answered all the questions from our community. I want to thank you guys for participating in this interview and answering the questions from our players and community members. It was a really fun interview for me as well, to be honest. And yeah, I wish you all the best luck with continuing to work on the great game.
Yeah, it's been a great year. Please come join us in the game. It's a lot of fun. I think there's something for everybody in Fallout 76, honestly. So, we're having a lot of fun working on it. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, hallo, daar zijn we weer, mensen. Daar zijn we weer.